WLOE Eden, WMYN Mayadan. Listen online all the time. RockinghamCountyRadio.com.
Hello and welcome to Community Accents on 1490 WLOE in Eden and Reedsville and 1420 WMYN in Madison, Mayadan, and Stoneville. I'm Mable Scott, the Public Information Officer for Rockingham County Government, and we're here the first Tuesday of each month, and the show is also streamed worldwide at www.rockinghamcountyradio.com. Today we have an exciting guest. He's going to be sharing with us everything you ever want to know about economic development and tourism but didn't know who to ask. We'd like to welcome the Rockingham County Partnership for Economic and Tourism Development President, Mr. Graham Previer. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much for being with us, and we are just so excited that you're here today because you're going to tell us what is economic development, what is tourism, why is all of this important for Rockingham County. But before we do all of that, we want to find out a little bit about you. Graham, where are you from? Where did you go to school?
I was born in Evanston, Illinois, where my father had been born and raised, actually almost 70 years ago. And my father was an Army officer, and when I was still an infant, we moved to the Washington, D.C. area, lived in Virginia. And unlike a lot of Army brats, I didn't live all over the world. My father was frequently stationed at the Pentagon, or the Office of the Quartermaster General, which is in Washington, and was twice stationed at Fort Monroe, Virginia. So I really grew up in Virginia. I graduated from Annandale High School in Fairfax County, Virginia, and went on to the University of Virginia.
All right. Charlottesville.
In Charlottesville.
Good.
Karen and I were married young. I'm married to the girl that I took to the senior prom.
That is wonderful.
At Annandale High, and so I worked my way through school. My dad said he always intended to pay for my tuition and books, and he did that, but he said, now that you've decided to get married, you all are on your own with the rest of it. So Karen worked at the University of Virginia Hospital, and I worked for the University of Virginia Buildings and Grounds Department as a surveyor and draftsman. When I finished my undergraduate work, they encouraged me, the campus planning office encouraged me to go on to architecture school, where I went to a 2-year program and had a master's degree in urban design. I had been reluctant to do it because I had been an English major as an undergraduate, and I knew that I was going to be in graduate school with folks who were architects or engineers, but the campus planning folks thought that the work that I had done as a surveyor and draftsman for the university would allow me to equip myself all right, and I guess I did.
See, they saw all those skills in you.
I suppose so.
They did.
I suppose so. From there, my first job after graduate school was in Washington, North Carolina. With
Washington.
Little Washington.
Yes.
With the Community Planning Division of what was then called the Department of Conservation and Development in North Carolina, Department of Conservation and Development. From that office, we were doing planning work up and down the coastal area of North Carolina, planning work that qualified the towns and the counties that we were working with for federal urban renewal money, which was so important. And so many of those small eastern North Carolina communities used that urban renewal money in the late 60s and early 70s to pave unpaved streets, to extend water and sewer to areas that didn't have them, and then ultimately a lot of downtown and waterfront restoration. I did the planning work that enabled the town of Beaufort to do all the wonderful things that have developed there in the last 40 years.
It's a lovely place.
From there, I went to Raleigh. I was promoted to head another division of the department in Raleigh. My boss thought that 28 sounded a little young to be a division director, so he told the Raleigh newspaper that I was 35. And,
but you looked young.
And I enjoyed that work very much. We were helping towns and counties all across North Carolina with grants for housing and urban redevelopment, and we were liaison for the federal Model Cities program, which was being executed in several cities in North Carolina. I also helped folks from the League of Municipalities and the County Commissioners Association who were setting up the multi-county planning regions in North Carolina. and one of those regions liked me and invited me to come down and be their executive director. So I was executive director for the Lumber River Council of Governments, based in Lumberton and serving Scotland, Robson, Bladen, and Hope counties. While I was doing that work, I really got intrigued with county government. I admired the county administrators and managers that I was working with down there, and it just looked like the kind of work that I'd like to do. And so I looked for some opportunities, and my first job as a county manager was in Currituck County, which is the northeasternmost county in the state. And it was kind of a good fit because they wanted a county manager with a planning background, because they were coping with a lot of development issues on the Outer Banks part of Currituck County, which were then undeveloped. Now it's all the fabulous development that extends from Duck up to Corolla, but undeveloped at that time. And so that was a great learning experience. It was a small county, about 7,000 people at the time, and a small budget, but it was a good place to be able to contribute while I was learning a lot about county government. I went from there to back to Little Washington, to Beaufort County as county manager in Beaufort County. I was enjoying my work there. Loved the community. The second time we'd been there, we've always said that if we ever find ourselves there a third time, we'll understand where God intended for us to live and stay put. I don't know if that'll happen or not, but I was enjoying my work there. But I was recruited to come to Forsyth County, to a big urban county as assistant county manager.
Yes.
And I declined a couple of times because I really enjoyed Eastern North Carolina. But I had the opportunity to go to Forsyth County as assistant manager. I was assistant manager from 1980 to 1987. In 1987 I became county manager, and I was county manager there for 19 years until I retired. Prior to my retirement, Karen and I had bought a home and some acreage here in Rockingham County, which we really enjoyed. It was our weekend and holiday getaway.
Your fun place.
A fun place, and convenient because it was only an hour away from Winston-Salem. So I had been retired for a full 6 weeks when I was asked if I would fill in as interim president of the partnership. And I was glad to do that. I did it for about 7 months on a part-time basis. They were kind enough to keep asking me if I would consider doing the job full-time. And I knew I needed full-time attention, and so I was either going to have to be willing to say yes or give it up and let them recruit somebody else. But I said yes. That was in 2007 when I started full-time. We had a lot of success. The economy was still in pretty good shape in 2007, and I thought, well, this is easy, but it hasn't always been easy since then, as you know. We've had to deal with the same slowdowns in the economy as everyone else.
So all of this work in planning and working as a county manager, how did all of this help you in your present role as far as economic development, jobs, tourism? How does all this fit together?
Well, in all of those jobs, and particularly during my 26 years in Forsyth County, was always working closely with the local economic developer because they would be looking for help from the county for incentives, looking for help from the county for the development of industrial parks or the extension of utilities. So I was always close to that part of the work. The part that I hadn't done previously that's also important is the marketing work. And fortunately, a number of the economic developers in the region who have been at it a long time have been good enough to help us there. And my colleague Wade Taylor was experienced in economic development. And my colleagues Carrie Taylor Penix and Robin Yount had both been with our organization for a long time, and so they brought me up until I got full speed on that part of the work.
So now you have a real team.
We do.
And number one is JOBS.
That's right.
Tell us about the jobs.
Well,
that's what we all want to hear.
That's what everyone's interested in. There are a lot of moving parts to economic development, and we don't do it all. We don't pretend to do it all. I think a community's economic health probably starts with education and training, which is why the hard work of our schools and our community college are so important. Whether we're talking about a job opportunity in Rockingham County or a job somewhere nearby, or perhaps a job that you have to move away to go to, you've got to have the educational base. I think one of the things we need to work hard on here in Rockingham County is to stress to parents and young people the importance of education. Like many communities that are former textile and tobacco communities, folks thought that you could probably get a pretty good job without maybe even completing your high school education.
Because it had been done for so long.
Because it had been done, and they had seen that. And folks who are willing to work hard and apply themselves can certainly still find a job, but obviously the better educated you are, the more skills you have, the better job and the better compensation. So I think the education piece is so important, and long term it's just as important as industrial parks or water and sewer utilities. I know that the Rockingham County schools are working hard at it. I know the community college is working hard at it.
And we're trying to find new ways to help people who maybe have lost jobs or been downsized, who need that retooling experience. And that's why those connections with Rockingham Community College are so important. And having the foundation from the whole school district is, it starts everything off on the right way, the right path.
Absolutely. After the education piece, I think infrastructure is important.
What's infrastructure?
Highway access, water, sewer, and then probably available buildings and sites are important.
You said water. That's a biggie for us.
It is. Our municipalities and the county have done a good job with their water and sewer systems. We have good capacity, even excess capacity, because we've lost some big water customers. And over here in the west, the county and the municipalities have done a good job of getting water and sewer along the US 220 corridor. We have to be careful not to think of that as a strategic advantage. It's almost like an ante in the game of economic development, because frankly there are lots of communities that have adequate water sewer. Now you hear stories about communities in the southwest and so on that are running out of water, and you appreciate the value of having it, but be careful not to think of it as a super advantage. Highway access for us is good, and there are a couple of projects that are actually in Guilford County that are very important to us that I'm glad to see will come to fruition in the next couple of years. I've told people that I think the two most important economic development projects in the history of Rockingham County will be some highway improvements that are actually in Guilford, and that's the US 220 improvements going on into Greensboro, and then the connector, which will actually be in Guilford County, that will connect US 220 with NC 68 over in the airport area. The other project is down US 29, where a part of the Greensboro urban loop will improve the connection between US 29 and I-40 and I-85. So those projects will enable us to show potential businesses.
So what's good for Guilford is going to be good, real good for us.
Exactly.
Yes.
The other thing is available buildings and sites, and I'll come back to that piece. I think the work that our municipalities are doing with their downtowns is important, because we're going to market ourselves, I think, as an attractive community with small towns and sort of a rural lifestyle, but with a proximity to an adjacent urban area that brings a lot of advantages as well. So I think our towns are working hard. I think our three chambers of commerce are working hard at promoting their communities and the business in their communities.
You're listening this morning to Community Accents. I'm Mable Scott, and our special guest today is Rockingham County Partnership for Economic and Tourism Development President Graham Previer, and we'll be right back after these messages.
WLOE Eden, WMYN Mayadan. Listen online all the time. RockinghamCountyRadio.com.
Welcome back to Community Accents on WLOE and WMYN. I'm Mable Scott, Public Information Officer for Rockingham County Government, and our special guest today, our Partnership for Economic and Tourism Development President, Graham Previer, and he is giving us all kinds of information about economic development and tourism, how do we find these big companies and corporations and businesses and bring them to Rockingham County? Do we find them? Do they find us? What do we do?
Well, I think you're perceptive. Sometimes economic sort of romanticize that we're dashing around the country cold calling on companies and telling them how nice it is here, and they right away come on down. And that's not really the way it works. Companies make very thoughtful, strategic business decisions about relocating, or about where they might choose to expand, or about which of their existing plants they might do an expansion project at. And the factors are all about cost. It's really it's a cold business when you think about it, but they're there to make money for their owners and their shareholders, and so they're making strategic decisions. Transportation is a very important factor. Where are their customers and where are their suppliers? Because you always want to reduce that. The next thing is the workforce. Where can they get the workforce they need at the best price that they can afford, a reliable workforce. And Rockingham County folks have proved themselves to be resilient and reliable. We do have a workforce that's shown itself to be adaptable to a variety of other industries. And then of course they're looking for corporate income tax rates, they're looking for incentives, they're looking for the cost of construction or the cost of a building. These manufacturing companies, distribution companies that we work with, we're not working with retail or commercial, I'll talk about that in a minute. But the companies that we're working with, again, are making strategic business decisions. They often use site selection consultants to assist them with these searches. And so the projects often come to us with cutesy project names, you know, Project Tango or Project Frisbee or something like that. We don't always know who the company is when it's first identified to us. These days the consultants will determine what criteria are most important for a particular company, and they'll usually have a general idea of where they might want to be. They might be considering the whole Southeast, they might be considering the Carolinas for a variety of factors. Maybe they've zeroed in even to the Piedmont Triad part of North Carolina. That's always best for us, of course. They usually will contact the Department of Commerce in the state or states that they're interested in. People think, well, it's important that we have a good website because maybe folks are looking at you and you don't even know they're looking. These days we're almost, in terms of economic development, manufacturing companies post local website. They simply go and call the Department of Commerce in the state or states they're interested in and tell them what they want and ask them to find it for them. So the projects will come out to us maybe with code names, and the important thing is, do you have what the company needs? They've already kind of picked our area because they know what the corporate tax rates are, what the local tax rates are, what the salaries and wages that are typical for various industries. They know that. About 85% of all the searches are companies that are looking for a building, an existing building, and folks don't realize that. Again, you kind of romanticize this. You think you cold call, they come down and build a shiny new building, but about 85% of all these searches are looking for an existing building.
Will that help to save them money?
Obviously, it's cheaper and it's faster.
Okay.
And these days, there's a lot to choose from out there. And you know, either you have a building that meets the company's requirements, or you don't. If they want 100,000 square feet, you don't show them 75,000 square feet. You know. Increasingly, they need higher and higher ceilings. Modern manufacturing and distribution equipment kind of tends to go up instead of out. So they may want ceiling heights anywhere from 22 to 32 or even 45 feet. And again, you don't show them a building that doesn't meet the requirements. I always say that residential real estate folks can take a couple that thought they wanted a cute little Cape Cod and sell them a two-story brick Georgian, and they're just happy and thought that's what they wanted all along. But you don't do that in this business. You know, the building has got to be exactly what they want to start with. If they're looking for a site, you don't show them Uncle Bob's 100-acre woods. They mean a shovel-ready site. They mean a site that's cleared, pre-graded, properly zoned, Phase 1 environmental, wetlands delineation, water and sewer available, the kind of power available, gas nearby if they need it, high-speed fiber, and often they're interested in redundant power, electric power that may come to them from two different directions, two different sources of internet access. Again, it's got to be ready to go because somebody else has got one that is ready to go. Somebody else has got what they need too. When they find us, they find 5 or 6 other folks, and our job is really to be closers and try and convince them that our site or our building is going to be the best solution, the lowest cost solution for what they're trying to do.
And that was my next question. When you think about all of those specifics and trying to get those formula, you know, find all those answers, exactly what they have intentionally asked for, how do you say Rockingham County is the best? Or we're the one you should choose?
I think what you try to do is show how closely your solution meets all of their requirements.
It's all about solutions.
That's right. That's right. So I suppose the finesse in the thing is to really understand of several criteria which are really the most important to them, and show them that you've got what they need.
Wow. What about tourism?
Tourism is a little different. Marketing really does work in tourism, and of course we have such wonderful assets. Our terrific small towns that are working so hard to make themselves interesting and attractive, and the businesses that are springing up, and then we've got our wonderful natural resources, our rivers, which are known to river enthusiasts all over the country. Our varied topography, our historical sites, and other points of interest. So we kind of execute the program for the Tourism Development Authority. We have the hotel motel occupancy taxes, and we use those to fund our tourism efforts. Because of the source of the money, we try to focus a little bit on overnight visitors as opposed to day trippers. But we'd like to present ourselves as what they call the staycation. And folks in the adjacent urban areas will come up here and look around over the weekend, or spend Saturday wandering around Rockingham County, or Sunday afternoon doing something up here. We spend about $40,000 a year assisting various activities and events in Rockingham County with promotion. Funding their promotion and marketing efforts, and then we do some marketing ourselves, preparing brochures about arts in Rockingham County, about the rivers, the bike trails, the recreation sites, and disseminating those, putting those in places where people will see them and find them and learn what we've got.
And your new piece that we just saw that's so beautiful and colorful.
The Our Town publication.
Yes, Our Town is
That's the kind of high gloss publication
that
you hope will have a shelf life of maybe 2 or 3 years, and that you can put that out strategically, and people will find out. And, and we have a lot of interest now in trying to step up our promotional efforts. About the partnership and the chambers and the communities, working even harder to let folks in the county know what we've got, and to let our neighbors and folks around the state and this part of the world know what we've got.
And that's why we wanted to have you on the show. We wanted you to have an opportunity to share the valuable information that you and your team work on day by day to try to attract major corporations to come here and to attract more people to enjoy a very beautiful scenic area. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us?
I just appreciate the opportunity to talk about it, because folks are interested. I mean, they're concerned about the economy. It's just so important, obviously, that people have an income that allows them to have the lifestyle that they want, for their children to have the lifestyle that they hope to pass on. It relates to health. I mean, if you've got a good job with some health insurance, you and your family are going to be healthier than you would be otherwise. So it's pretty fundamental, and we know people care about investment, care even more about the jobs. but I think it's helpful to us that people understand how it really works, so that they understand the factors that are important to companies they'll be looking at.
Why should people here in Rockingham County be happy and glad to be a part of this county?
Well, I think it's special because I've chosen to live here for the same reason.
Special.
Same reason a lot of folks have come. We hope more will, and the same reason a lot of folks have stayed, and the same reason we hope that a lot of young people will come back. It's an attractive small town, semi-rural lifestyle in a beautiful county with an urban area nearby that you can be right in the middle of, and only 45 or 50 minutes from most places in the county. So just the best of all worlds, I think.
The best of all worlds. I like that. And your team?
Well, they're veterans, and folks work hard. It's a business where there's some serious disappointments because you can get very, very close, and the project will go somewhere else, and it's a little mysterious sometimes. Sometimes you don't even know where they went or why.
But you just keep on going like that
little
little
train. You try to find out if there's
Okay.
anything that you could have done to
Yes.
to have landed them, anything you missed. I'm comfortable that most folks tell us, no, you did a good thing. Just for strategic business reasons, we picked another location or another local.
And we're seeing a lot of expansion.
We are, and around the country, that's what's going
Yes.
on. It's consolidation and expansion, and what you want to do is stay in close touch with your local companies, so that if their corporate higher-ups are thinking about consolidation, of course I don't want anybody to lose a job anywhere, but I want the consolidation to be at the plant that they have in Rockingham County.
Yes.
And I hate that has to be at the expense of somebody else, but I'd rather it happened here.
We are cheering for Rockingham County, and again we want to thank Graham Previer for being with us today. He is the president of the Partnership for Economic and Tourism Development here in Rockingham County. You're listening to Community Accents here on WLOE and WMYN. I'm Mable Scott, Public Information Officer with Rockingham County Government, and we hope to see you on the radio first Tuesday of every month. Thank you again, Graham, for being with us, and we hope to have you back.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.